إنه من كان يعبد محمدا فإن محمدا قد مات.
So picture this. It's the year 632 AD. The founder of the very first Muslim community, the Prophet Muhammad, has just died. And in that moment of absolute shock and grief, a huge power vacuum just opens up, threatening to tear this new community apart before it even gets started. You have to understand, with the Prophet's death, people were just plunged into this state of shock and confusion. He wasn't just their political leader, he was their spiritual guide, and now he was gone, leaving this enormous void that nobody had any idea how to fill.
Right, and this is probably the most crucial piece of the puzzle. There was no divine instruction, no prearranged plan for who should rule next, nothing. Think about it. The community had all the spiritual tools to build a society, but they were left completely without a political roadmap. For the very first time, they were truly on their own, walking into completely uncharted territory.
Now, while the Prophet's closest family, people like his cousin Ali, were busy with the funeral arrangements, one powerful group saw a window of opportunity, and they made a really bold, really decisive move. These were the Ansar, which means the helpers. They were the original residents of Medina who had taken in the Prophet and his followers. So they all gather in this meeting hall, the Saqifah, and their argument is pretty logical, right? They're thinking, hey, we hosted everyone, we defended the state, it only makes sense that the leader should come from one of us. And their guy for the job was a respected chief, Sa'd ibn Ubadah.
Well, word of this secret meeting gets out, and it spreads fast. It reaches the other major group in town, and they immediately get what's at stake here. They literally race over to the Saqifah to stop a decision from being made without them.
And this other group, they were the Muhajirun, or the emigrants. These were the day ones, the very first people to convert, the ones who had left everything behind in Mecca to follow the Prophet. So their claim to leadership was built on seniority in the faith, and of course their incredibly close personal relationship with the Prophet himself. So there you have it. The standoff is set. On one side, you've got the Ansar, with a claim based on refuge, protection, and local power. And on the other, you have the Muhajirun, whose claim is all about being there first and, this is key, sharing the Prophet's tribal background. The stage was absolutely set for a major confrontation.
What happened next was this super tense debate. A compromise gets put on the table, it gets shot down immediately. And then, a single argument, just a few words, changes the course of history forever.
Okay, so you can feel the tension is getting thick, right? The Ansar, trying to head off a total split, they propose a power-sharing deal. Basically, a dual leadership, one leader from their group, one from the Muhajirun. Seems pretty reasonable, a way to keep everyone happy. But Umar ibn al-Khattab, one of the Prophet's most influential companions, just shuts it down. Immediately. His argument is sharp and to the point. You can't have two rulers. It's a recipe for division, for paralysis, for total chaos. Two swords can't fit in one sheath. End of story.
And then, another companion, Abu Bakr, steps forward and makes the statement that defines everything that comes next. He argues that all the different powerful tribes of Arabia, who are only just starting to come together under Islam, they would only respect and follow a leader from the Prophet's own tribe, the Quraysh. It wasn't an argument about divine right. It was pure political and tribal reality.
And just like that, with those few words, a single, pragmatic argument becomes the foundational rule for the Caliphate. For almost 900 years, it was undisputed. The Caliph, the leader of the Muslims, had to be from the tribe of Quraysh. And in that moment, the debate was over. And Abu Bakr himself was chosen as the first Caliph or successor.
But of course, history is never that neat and tidy. Just 2 years go by, and Abu Bakr's death triggers a whole new crisis. And this time, instead of going back to a big public debate, a completely different way of choosing a leader was invented, basically right there on the spot.
Abu Bakr's reign was short, but absolutely critical. He really solidified the new state. But check out what happens at the end. On his deathbed, instead of letting another open debate happen, he consults his inner circle and then just directly nominates Umar to take his place. He basically broke the very precedent that brought him to power in the first place.
And you can really see the system evolving in real time here. The first succession, it's reactive. It's a public vote born out of a crisis where there were no rules. The second one, it's proactive. It's a planned, deliberate nomination trying to create a stable, non-hereditary way to pass on power.
So here's the main takeaway. The political DNA of the early Islamic State wasn't just copied from a sacred blueprint. No, it was forged in the fire of a real crisis by leaders making incredibly difficult, pragmatic choices under enormous pressure. They were, for all intents and purposes, making it up as they went along.
And you know, that leaves us with a really fascinating question for our own time. If these foundational systems of political authority were built on human debate, on practical needs, and on managing crises, what does that tell us about the nature of governance and legitimacy today? It's a powerful reminder that so much of history is really the story of people, not plans, just figuring things out as they go.